I thought this day would be like any other. Standing outside Buckingham Palace, keeping absolutely still, ignoring the tourists, the usual Royal Guardsman routine. But then there he was. The crowd suddenly buzzed. Someone shrieked with delight. Dozens of phones soared into the air. I heard a name that is known all over the world. It was Keanu Reeves. He was walking straight toward me. Tall, in a black suit, with that same brooding half-smile that drives people crazy. He stopped, staring intently into my eyes. Really? He grinned. You can't react at all? I remained silent. Okay, then, let's check it out. The crowd gasped. Some giggled. Others were already filming. Everyone thought it was just entertainment. No one, not even me, knew how it would end. He started with a simple one. Keanu folded his hands behind his back and slowly walked me around in a circle, scrutinizing me like I was some kind of work of art. The crowd giggled, all the cameras pointed at us. Amazing, he muttered. You didn't even blink an eye. I stood there like I was supposed to. How about this? He lunged, like he was going to grab something from over my shoulder. The crowd gasped. I didn't move. Wow, that's impressive, he grinned. Okay, the difficulty level is rising. He pulled something small and shiny out of his pocket. A coin. Tossed it in the air, caught it, tossed it again. Then, with perfect precision, he threw it at my chest. A clear clang. The coin bounced off my breastplate and fell to the sidewalk. The crowd laughed. Didn't even blink. Keanu shook his head admiringly. Good. Then erase this. He pulled out his cell phone and turned on the camera. Let's try something more fun. He started mimicking my movements, standing next to me, copying my posture, stretching my shoulders. Then he started marching back and forth, mimicking military footsteps. Left, right, left, right, left, right, he said, copying the sergeant's voice. A guardsman without emotion, a guardsman without a soul. The crowd roared with laughter. I remained motionless. Keanu stopped abruptly, looked at me. Okay, so humor doesn't work. Good. Then let's try this. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel his breath. If I do this. And before anyone could say anything, Keanu Reeves reached out and slowly touched my shoulder pad. The crowd froze. So did I. But inside me, I was already going into fight mode. I heard someone whisper, "Oh, he just touched a Royal Guardsman." And Keanu smiled. What are you going to do now? I knew the answer. But he didn't. Not yet. As soon as his fingers touched my shoulder pad, there was an excited buzz in the crowd. People understood. This was a line that shouldn't be crossed. But Keanu only grinned. No reaction? Okay. But now I'm really wondering where your limit is. He took his hand away and, without averting his gaze, took a step back. I knew we were being watched by security cameras. I knew my fellow sentries had noticed what was happening too. I knew that any wrong move could become an international incident. But I also knew that rules were rules. Keanu seemed to be enjoying the game. He started circling around me again, like a wolf sniffing out prey. Then he leaned in so close to me I could hear him breathing. Are you even alive, buddy? Or are they charging you on batteries? The crowd laughed again. But then he did something unexpected. He clapped his hands sharply in front of my face. The loud sound hit my ears. Several people in the crowd shrieked in surprise. I remained motionless. Damn, you're made of stone. Keanu laughed and shook his head. But then his look changed. He took another step back. The crowd went quiet. He began to imitate me with frightening accuracy. He stood up in a stance that exactly mirrored my posture. I am a king's guard, he said theatrically, imitating a stern voice. I do not blink. I do not breathe. I am a living statue. The crowd was no longer laughing. Now they were waiting to see what he would do next. Keanu slowly reached out and reached for my hat. That was the final limit. The action mechanism inside me had already kicked in. I intercepted his wrist before he could touch. It happened in an instant. My movement was precise, swift, and absolutely calculated. The crowd gasped. Keanu froze, too. I looked straight into his eyes. He wasn't frightened. On the contrary, he smiled. Oh, he said. Now comes the fun part. I squeezed his wrist. Not hard, but enough to let him know I had gone too far. The crowd froze. No one expected me to move. Keanu didn't twitch either. He looked at me, and there was no fear in his gaze, just interest. Like he was testing me. So you're alive after all, he smirked. That's something. I unclenched my fingers. Bravo. He's moving. Someone shouted from the crowd, and people laughed. But Keanu didn't move. On the contrary, he smiled wider and took a step back. Okay, buddy, you've won this round. But now let's see how you handle the real test. He unzipped his jacket. I knew right away something big was about to happen. The crowd came to life again. Someone whispered, "Is he gonna fight?" Keanu abruptly assumed a fighting stance. His movements were quick, deliberate, not just a joke for fun. I instantly realized this was no ordinary tourist. This man knew what he was doing. He made the first false lunge, quick, almost lightning fast. He was testing my reaction. I stayed where I was. Second lunge. Faster. Closer. The crowd froze. Keanu smiled. Nothing? Okay, what if it was? He took a sharp step forward, too close. I moved. Gun down. Foot in a fighting stance. 100% ready. Keanu saw it right away and laughed. Well, now you're a real soldier. The crowd was buzzing again. The guards at the palace were already moving towards us. But Keanu didn't remove his hands. Last chance, he said, not removing his gaze. You want to see what I can do? I already knew the answer. And from the look in his eyes, so did he. A second of silence. Keanu stood across from me, relaxed, but there was intense focus in his eyes. He didn't move first, waiting, watching. The crowd held its breath. This was no longer a joke. I heard the guards' walkie-talkies begin to transmit commands. The other guardsmen had already shifted their attention in our direction. Cameras were capturing every moment. But Kean didn't care. He tilted his head, studying me, and jerked forward as if he were going to grab my shoulder. I reacted. With my left hand, I fended off his downward movement, and with my right, I caught his elbow. Keanu immediately sidestepped without losing control. He was smiling again. Wow, he muttered. That was fast. The crowd applauded. To them, it looked like a show. To me, it looked like a test. And then he changed his style. Keanu took a step back and threw a punch in the air like a boxer. And then another one. The speed was unbelievable. He was testing me. Not like a tourist or an actor, but like a man who knows what he's doing. I didn't move. Impressive, he looked me in the eye again. You've got a grip on yourself. The crowd wasn't laughing anymore. People could feel it. Something real was happening here. Keanu took a deep breath, exhaled, and took the final step. A sharp jerk. I moved. He tries to grab my shoulder pad again, but I retreat half a step, my body moving away. Keanu barely touches the fabric of the uniform. But it was enough. Enough. A guard's voice. 2 men in suits have already approached us from both sides. Keanu saw them. He raised his hands. Okay, I'm leaving. But he kept looking at me. You understood, didn't you? He knew. I knew. It wasn't just a test. All this time, he had been testing me not just as a guardsman, but as a soldier. The crowd didn't understand. The cameras were rolling. The guards took control of the situation. Keanu smiled one last time, gave me a slight nod, and calmly turned around. He was walking away, but I knew this wasn't just entertainment. He was looking for an answer, and it looked like had found it. Keanu stepped back slowly, hands raised, showing that he wasn't going to do anything more. But there was no defeat in his eyes. The crowd began to applaud. People were laughing, talking over each other, marveling at what they had just seen. To them it was just a fun show, but I knew it was more than that. 2 costumed guards stepped closer. One of them stepped forward, his eyes assessing the situation. Mr. Reeves, please come with us. Keanu looked at him, then shifted his gaze back to me. This is it, isn't it? Is this serious now? He didn't resist. He knew had gone too far, and he didn't want to create a real incident. The crowd buzzed. People pulled out their phones, snapping pictures, talking. Are they going to hold him? Jesus, it's Keanu Reeves. Really? He was just kidding. The guards began to slowly escort him towards the gate to get him out of the palace grounds. But at one point, he stopped abruptly. Just for a second. The guards froze. The crowd held its breath again. He turned around and looked directly at me. I was right, wasn't I? I didn't answer. You're not just a guard. My fingers clenched on the rifle. You have combat training. You don't just stand there like a statue. The crowd didn't know what he was talking about. They were just cryptic words to them. But he knew. He saw details that ordinary people don't notice. My stance. My reactions. How I shifted my body weight before a possible attack. How I controlled the situation. He was testing me. The guards were tense. They were waiting for my reaction, but I couldn't respond. Then Keanu nodded slowly. It was clear, and calmly turned around. The guards led him outside the palace grounds. The crowd was still buzzing for a while, people sharing impressions, laughing, dispersing. But I stood still. I didn't look away, didn't turn around, didn't change my expression. But inside, something changed. This man understood me in a matter of minutes. He saw something that should have gone unnoticed. He tested me like a soldier. And I knew he wasn't just having fun. He was looking for answers. For what? Why? I didn't know. But that night, when I finally left my post and returned to the barracks, I had a strange feeling. What if this isn't the end? Night had fallen over London, but the adrenaline was still boiling inside me. I sat in the barracks, checking my gear for tomorrow's shift, but my thoughts kept coming back to this encounter. Keanu Reeves. What did he want? Why was he scrutinizing me so intently? Why was he checking me out? You've become an internet star today, buddy. I looked up. My partner, Sergeant Harper, was standing in the doorway, holding a cell phone. Check it out. I picked up the phone and saw the videotape. Millions of views. Hundreds of thousands of comments. A video with the title, Fire Keanu Reeves Proves He's a Royal Guardsman. Incredible moment outside Buckingham Palace. Fire on the screen. I saw it all again from the beginning. The way he walks around me. The coin toss. How he parodies my moves. How he tests my reactions. How I catch him by the wrist, and the way he smiles at that moment. I saw it differently. The video made it look like a celebrity prank. But I was there. I knew Keanu was playing his game. What do you think? Harper asked, sitting down across from me. I was silent for a long time, scrolling through the tape over and over. It wasn't just entertainment, I finally said. Harper frowned. Do you really think so? I knew it. I saw the look in his eyes. This man wasn't just fooling around in front of the camera. He was looking for something. He was testing me. And the weird thing is, I think he found what he was looking for. I turned my phone off, set it back on the table, and took a deep breath. Maybe tomorrow this would all be forgotten. But I had a strange feeling. This wasn't over.